right, let's start this morning with the latest on the Flint Water Crisis. The state Supreme Court ordering the dismissal of the charges against former Governor Synder and others. Those charges were then refiled late Friday, but where will all of it go? I want to talk it over with a guy who knows as much about this case as anyone. Attorney Todd Flood was the original investigator and prosecutor appointed by then AG Bill Schuette, but when Dana Nessel took over, she restarted the entire case, and that included dispatching Todd Flood. So, Todd, some might suggest you have maybe an axe to grind in this case, but the truth is, when the decision from the state Supreme Court came down this week, I think you felt it all very personally.
I did. It was hard for me to process in a lot of ways. I was sad. I wanted to see at least a trial, at least some modicum of justice laid out in front of 12 jurors for the case. I have friends there, lifelong friends in Flint, and they're suffering. They want answers, and they want to at least have the day in court as is required in a case like this. And unfortunately, sadly so, procedural steps reversed course for the prosecutor in this case. And I have great respect for Kim Worthy and Fadwa Hammoud, both brilliant ladies, and I know their hearts are in the right place and they want to do everything they can to bring justice. But this is a major setback, and I'm sure they're all together, bringing the team together from all different places, attempting to figure out how to get traction back in the courtroom. And it sounds to me as though they've made this motion to remand and reissue the case back to the preliminary exam stage. And Devin, that's what we did for 12 months. Put on 4 different exams, got 15 people charged, four took pleas to cooperate, and there were more indictments ready to go. So they have to go through that process, but I know they're devoted and dedicated to making it happen.
Is it as simple as just saying, okay, restart and filing paperwork again, other than the delay of time, which is agonizing for a lot of the folks in Flint who have to, at this point, believe nothing's ever going to be solved? Is there more damage to the case, though, that's being done by this ruling than simply delaying what happens?
Well, I will be interested in hearing the motion that they filed, because there are some issues as it relates to the statute of limitations on the misdemeanors.
Right.
Nick Lyon, he had his case reversed, and he was asking for a dismissal, and the Supreme Court said to the circuit court, you got it wrong. Dismiss Nick Lyon's case. Nancy Peeler asked for a remand to do a preliminary exam. They reversed the circuit court there. So I'm curious to find out how they get around the statute of limitations on some of these cases. With the manslaughter cases, they have safe water. They can still navigate the preliminary exam for the manslaughter cases. Some of the other cases, Jared Aiken, he also, his perjury case took place during our investigation. So that's in safe water with regards to the statute of limitations.
Yeah, no statute of limitations on manslaughter, but important to point out, a number of the people who were facing charges were only, including Governor Synder, only facing misdemeanor counts. And those do, I think you and a lot of other attorneys would suggest that there is a statute of limitations on those kind of charges.
There is. So the question is going to be, did the clock toll? Was there a stop in the clock as it relates to the statute of limitations? I think there's going to be some meritorious arguments. At least there's going to be a lot of legal arguments put forth on that issue. There's another huge issue going forth as well, and that is the taint review. I read that motion, and I saw that the circuit court in Genesee County made the Attorney General's office go through what we said in the very beginning. You have to have a taint review team. That simply is, you can't be taking privileged communications from the defendants. You have to have a privilege log, if you will, and to make sure that you're not getting information that you're not entitled to, not supposed to have, that's confidential and the like. Well, that didn't happen necessarily in this case. So I'm sure that the Attorney General and Fadwa Hammoud and Kim Worthy have a plan to overcome that. They have to show by clear and convincing evidence that that's not going to be used, nor is it relevant necessarily in their case. So another hurdle, more time, more money, more frustration. But I I've talked to Fadwa on many occasions. I believe in her, and I believe that her heart's in the right place, and she's going to do everything she can to bring justice from my friend in Flint.
Let me ask you, if we set aside all of the different arguments that we've heard, all of the, obviously we have to follow, we have to follow legal rules in court, all of these things though, if we can set all that aside and get to the heart of what you found in your 3 years of looking into what happened in Flint, where do you believe, what did you decide, where was the ultimate responsibility for what happened to the people of Flint?
It happens within the administration and the cabinet of the Snyder administration, in my humble opinion, and that's what I proved in the preliminary exam. It was really quite simple for everybody to understand. When it was complicated, but it only became easy when it became easy and you understood it. At the end of all of this, there was Legionella that was in the pipes and the systems, and because the pipes had been being stripped of their protective coating, Legionella was growing, and it had food to grow called trihalomethanes. That's just the organic material that was coming down the pipe. And in vacant lots and vacant streets, those plumes, those small plumes of Legionella would grow and become massive. And then as the pull of water went down to the other homes and hospitals and nursing homes, that killer, that poison, was brought in, and it was silent and brought into the people's homes. So not only did you have lead, because the lead leached from the pipes because there was no protective coating, you also had this Legionella, which caused severe pneumonia. And if you had any kind of comorbidity, any kind of diabetes or high blood pressure, heart disease, anything of that sort, it was a death sentence for many. And, you know, I buried a friend up there, and only became friends with her while I was up there. I became friends with plenty of parents. I still have a lifelong friend. They have a 5-year-old that is suffering from lead poisoning. And
in fact, Todd,
we'll
parents
see.
who will be spending years watching for signs of what the lead has done to their children.
That's right. That's right. And if it, it somehow, some way, it looks like calcium when it takes an X-ray, or in your body, and if it gets into the bloodstream, your pediatrician, I mean, that needs to be consulted right away. There's a lot of unsung heroes up there. Dr. Lawrence Reynolds, his wife at the preliminary exam, he was the one that made sure that the doctors in Flint took the precautions and made sure there were public announcements. He was an amazing man, is an amazing man, and the pastors up there. So, the sad thing is they need redress. They need some mercy. They need some clean water consistently. They need, obviously, an infrastructure that's worthy of having water come through it.
Yeah.
And they need their day in court. They really do. And I see it. It's really simple to prove this case at the end of the day. It's not that complicated. But Fadwa's going up against Goliath. The AG's office doesn't have the money. Trust me when I tell you. She's going up, and I did the same thing, and I know she's tired, but I know she was going up against heavy hitters and millions and millions of dollars being fronted to the defense attorneys and to their experts. So it's a tough game. It's a tough.
Todd, I've only got about 30 seconds left, but I want to quickly let you weigh in on the civil case. Governor Synder taking the fifth, which he, of course, is of his right to do. Am I supposed to read something into the governor exerting his Fifth Amendment rights against self-incrimination?
He took the fifth based on the advice of counsel, but he testified in front of Congress, and he testified at a deposition in the civil case. They used that material. Yeah. And if people listen to that testimony in front of Congress, there will be some striking revelations. But anyway, no, I wouldn't read into it other than that potential more charges could come down the pike if they find manslaughter issues.
Todd, I so appreciate your thoughts on this. We've talked to you about it before. I know we'll talk to you about it again. Thanks for the time.